All right, welcome in everybody to another episode of CurbCast. We are live in the mezzanine section. I don't want to say we're live. We're not live, but we are in the mezzanine section of our building. We keep moving, Robbie, because studios are getting taken up by the minute up here. And the last place, Joe Rose was doing some meeting. I can't be waiting now for their meeting of the minds. Who knows what they're doing? They could be talking about, having somebody from the '84 Dolphins on, know,
or they could just be talking about the draft. Just take another 12 hours.
Who knows? Who knows? So so we're here. We got the comfy couches going on. So it's a good scenario for us. This was the latest episode of our show, Curb Your Enthusiasm. First of all, before I get into our thoughts on this episode, now. I've been posting these episodes up on all our social media platforms, and we had a celebrity weigh-in on this season of Curb Your Enthusiasm. That celebrity was one Mark Hochman.
Whoa!
And I don't have the exact quote in front of me, but he was basically saying this. He thinks the season's trash. He says it's lazy. And he thinks this is one of the worst seasons in a long time of Curb Your Enthusiasm, and has been very disappointed. So what do you think of afternoon host of 790 The Ticket and 560 The Joe, Mark Hochman's opinion of this season, and weighing in, saying not a fan, thinks it's been lazy?
I've also heard those comments echoed by Solana, too. He's told me that they all think that they're reaching for jokes this year, that they're like some of these jokes that don't even make sense, that they're dumb, and nobody would ever do such a thing in real life. But I disagree with Hochman respectfully. I think this season's been fantastic.
I think it's been fantastic too.
I mean, first episode, maybe one of the first episode of the season, maybe one of the best ever.
I thought it was too, with the whole hat thing that went down. This season, that was this past episode. So basically, we start out on off on the golf course. Larry is golfing with Richard Lewis. Who's his friend? Carl.
Carl, yeah.
Carl.
Yeah, Richard Lewis and Carl on one team, and Jeff and Larry David on the other team.
Right, Jeff and Larry David are on the other team. So they're golfing, and Richard Lewis, he can't miss. Yeah. He's an unbelievable putter. And so Larry and Jeff have to fork over $500 apiece to Carl and to Richard. They say, "We'll go anywhere you want for lunch." So what was the name of the restaurant?
Tabatos?
Tabatos, whatever it is. So they go there, and the gentleman at the maitre d', he
Ruxin from the league.
Yeah, he sits them down at their section, and as they're speaking, Larry is happening to notice that they are in a section that does not have any of the beautiful people that are on the other side of the restaurant. They are in an ugly section, and certainly around that they have been put in this ugly section that will become the backdrop. It is the title of the episode is The Ugly Section, and so Larry David and Carl and Jeff and Richard Lewis are all in the ugly section. So. They start talking amongst things. Larry reveals that he and Cheryl, when they were together, as husband and wife, they would have sex 4 times a week. and Carl is letting them know that he's lucky if he has sex once a week, and this disappoints him because he reveals that his wife has a magical vagina. and this is quite the thing because everybody is mystified. What does this mean? It's magical.
Yeah, it's magical.
It's magical. I mean, it would he was taken aback by it. So this just overtakes everybody with wonder. Yeah. What could this mean? Magic vagina.
Did you say vagina?
Oh, we just did.
Yeah, we just did.
Yeah, we just did. We're just quotes. It's what the episode's about. So, so everybody doesn't know, and so he gets a message.
He gets like an alert on his phone that
and what does he end up saying?
He's like, "Oh man, Le'Veon Bell's out for the season. Can you believe out for the season? Can you believe that?"
But he is enraged by Le'Veon Bell being out for the season.
You know how much we want to be paid for this guy?
Yeah, he can't believe it, and so
huge Jets fan, by the way.
Huge Jets fan, and he takes the Jets news hard.
Yeah,
and look,
he's beside himself.
This is, Larry David is a known Jets fan, so this entire backdrop of the episode it coincides with Carl, a huge Jets fan whose life has been made miserable by the Jets.
And everyone's trying to console. Like, why are you treating them like they're the Patriots? Like they're the Jets. They're never going to be the Patriots.
Yeah, they're never going to be the Patriots. Why are you so worried, Carl? And he can't stand it. He is so upset. Where do we go from here? Do you remember? It goes. Do they end up at Latte Larry's with the kid? Is that where they go? After
yeah,
this?
because Larry, he's interviewing the kid. He's interviewing the
You'll have to
doctor.
excuse me. Normally, I have my show notes in front of me, but because of our little
setup
switch, I don't have my normal show notes with me. But yeah, they end up going back to Latte Larry's, and they're interviewing the kid, right?
Yeah, he's the son of a doctor. Yeah,
yeah, he's a dermatologist.
Dermatologist, yeah.
And so he's trying to get a part-time job at Latte Larry's. He goes, "You got any experience with people?" And the kid's like, "Yeah, with my dad's office." He goes, "No, this is the lowest of the low." I don't know why the lowest of the low people will be coming to Larry's coffee shop. It seems like he lives in a nice neighborhood. I don't think that this is going to be in some hooliganville where people are just he's worried about the worst things. The worst people coming to his office, them defecating all over the place.
At the squat bathrooms.
The squat bathrooms. He can't take it. So he's interviewing the kid, and the kid notices something on
the rash.
Yeah, the rash.
Yeah,
and he starts rattling off some good advice. Like he goes out there and he goes, "You remember what the advice was?" He was like, "Cortisone ointment, steroid, over the counter.
Yeah,
looks like some type of thing." And so Larry goes, "Okay." He goes, "All right. I don't need.
I'll go talk to your dad.
Yeah, I'll go talk to your dad. I don't need your advice."
Yeah.
And he goes, "Oh, kid's fine," but the kid gets the job.
Yeah.
He's very impressed by the kid. Leon's impressed by the kid, so the kid's getting the gig, and it seems like he is the next the new part of Latte Larry's. Of Latte Larry's. Where do they move on from here? Is this where Leon complains about the snag? There's a bunch of snag hazards in there where they got the snags all over the place.
Oh yeah, because Larry keeps getting his jacket caught on the handles of the store.
He keeps getting his jacket caught on the store, and so they're trying to figure out what would be the best way to do this. On to the next part, we find out that Carl, he has unfortunately taken his life.
He couldn't handle the disappointment.
That was
on a suicide note.
I can no longer take the disappointment, and everybody's like, what does that mean? And Larry David, he deduces, as a Jets fan himself, he goes, he would always say, at the end of Jets games, "I'm so tired of being disappointed." And so
the Jets killed him.
So the Jets killed him. Which, I mean, look, I'm for an episode where we can make fun of the Jets and Jets fans. It is fantastic. I mean, this was a piece of art by Larry David where he got to imagine if we had our own television show, we could just talk about the struggles of the Marlins or the struggles of the Dolphins for life.
Yeah.
And what they have brought. Now, I don't know if it's ever brought me to the point where I've wanted to kill myself. That's pretty harsh. I mean, what is the worst sports ever made you feel?
Oh man, I guess that Monday Night Miracle when they lost to the Jets, when the Dolphins had that
was
big
pretty
comeback
bad.
against the Jets.
That was pretty bad. I mean
the Jacksonville 62-7.
Jacksonville 62-7.
That was a good one for you.
It was a good one for me. I would think the worst. One of the worst is Game 2 of the 2011 NBA Finals. I mean,
blowing that.
Allen Houston.
Allen Houston. Oh, there you go. You got me.
Terrible.
You got me. That's a winner.
Absolutely terrible. I mean, the Marlins. Most of the bad feelings with the Marlins have been off the field stuff. They never really I mean, the Marlins being bad, they've never been bad in a meaningful moment, really.
Oh, Fiesta Bowl, we could throw that in there with the Hurricanes.
Fiesta Bowl. Oh, my God, the Fiesta Bowl is the worst. But yeah, bad, meaningful moment for the Marlins. I guess you could say Giancarlo Stanton's face getting hit.
Oh, yeah.
That was probably like the best team that had something happen on the field that really crushed the team.
Yeah.
And they weren't a guaranteed contender, but they were still in it.
Mm-hmm.
Still in it a little bit. So that's probably the one on the field Marlins moment I can think of.
I remember they gave up 10 runs in the ninth inning one time when they were up 2-0. It was a huge game in September. They're fighting for a wild card spot against the Phillies, and the Phillies put up a 10th spot in the ninth.
Phillies always beat us late, man. I hate the Phillies so much.
Yeah.
Ricky Nolasco. My God.
Ricky Nolasco, that's right.
That's all I ever think about is just Ricky Nolasco giving up fat meatballs at Citizens Bank
Ryan
Park.
Howard.
Nonstop. Ryan Howard would be Barry Bonds if he was allowed to face Ricky Nolasco his entire career.
You don't even need the steroids.
Wouldn't even need the steroids. Not even. So, anyway, that's neither here nor there. So, this guy, he's tired of being disappointed. We figure out the Jets killed him. So they end up at the funeral with the widow.
Yeah, because they find out that the magical vagina has an opening.
Right. And and so they find out that she is there. And so Larry's gonna go in there, just say hello, Oh, you know what? The other thing that was crazy, he said that he wanted to send a grief text, which
I gotta send a grief text.
I don't think I would ever tell anybody I'm sorry via text of that magnitude. Like, if your husband died, would you send somebody or my wife? Like, if you guys sent me a text, if my wife died, I don't think I'd
Oh,
want
yeah.
you to send
Yeah.
me a grief text. You got to call.
Well, yeah, it depends on how well you know the person too. Like maybe, like I can understand being on the if you're on the receiving end of the death, like you don't want to deal with like a 10-minute phone call. You rather just get the text and move on to your grieving.
I'm trying to think. I felt like there was some bad news that I think like when Romberg's father passed away, maybe like as a show we all sent a group text because it felt communal. But I feel like if I'm gonna go one-on-one with news that bad, I feel like I got a call. Don't you?
I feel like, but you know they're going to be getting tons of calls.
Tons of calls.
So
too.
I feel like a text might be more efficient, and they don't have to sit there, you know, and for like 5 minutes on the phone. I feel like they would appreciate the text, but maybe.
But like it's got to be, if you're gonna send a text, it feels like that's got to be almost like a paragraph, not a paragraph, but like I think Larry said he was gonna send a 3-liner.
3-line.
Because he
couldn't think of the third line.
The third line. I won't say now that there are people down here. I won't say what the third line he was thinking of because it's gotten too crowded down here. But theme of the earlier in the episode, just think that's what he wanted to think. Him and Leon were going off and off. But grief text, I was like, I don't know. I don't think I would go that direction. So he ends up at the wedding. He's trying to make the move. He's at the funeral. He's trying to make the move on the widow.
And they're telling him how to do it. Like Richard Lewis and Jeff are telling him, well, no, you can't do that. You can't go.
Yeah, you can't. Everybody's like, oh, you got to wait a certain amount of time. He goes, well, just go out there. And she makes, Larry makes a laugh. Oh, and so, but this is where he goes, I just don't know why he didn't. He goes, it was the Jets. It was the Jets. And she's like, what? He goes, because he would yell up in the middle of bed. He would say, Watson. And I was like, was that a Sherlock? She was like, I'm thinking it was a Sherlock Holmes reference. He goes, Deshaun Watson.
Because they passed on him in the draft. That's what.
I mean, everybody passed on Deshaun Watson.
True.
It's terrible.
112.
Who did the Jets say? Did they take Jamal Adams that year?
Ooh, we have to look it up.
Yeah, we got to figure out who did they end up taking, because I feel like if it was Jamal Adams is a good player for him. I do understand. That was the year. I'm trying to think. That was the year the Jaguars took Leonard Fournette.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, listen, Leonard Fournette's been a good Jaguar. I'd rather have Deshaun Watson. But, I understand. It's all the misery, all that you're thinking about is you just want the quarterback. It was all going good. He was like, it was all going good last year till Darnold got mono.
Yeah, he was going on. Season's over by week 3,
Yeah, so they're at the funeral. They're talking. She figures out the Watson thing. And then Larry notices on the coffin. Those are some good handles.
Because he wants it for his shop.
He's trying to figure out for Latte Larry's. He needs that. He needs those handles for his coffee shop. And so he goes, "You mind if I take a picture?" He goes up and snaps a picture of the coffin.
And meanwhile, he's asking he's asking her. He wants the number for the coffin company.
Hey, where'd you get it?
Like, this is the day of the funeral. He's just trying to figure out where the coffin company is from.
It's unbelievable. So so they end up there. They get the coffee. Would you remember where they go next after this? We end up with I think he ends up back. Does he end up back at the does he go right to the date? No. They're in the car with Richard Lewis and Jeff, and she texts him.
Yeah.
And he goes, you move too fast. They're telling him you move too fast.
Yeah.
You move too fast. Boom. Gets a text. Thank you for making me laugh today. Can't wait to have to see your coffee shop. And so he goes, well, let me know if you want to get coffee or any other type of meal. And it's a go.
And they thought it was too soon. You can't send that text too soon.
But boom, right back at it. And they're at the place. So they end up going to
She agreed. She agreed.
They're on a date. She says it's a date. So they go to Teatros. Now, she's a very good-looking woman, and it's Larry David. So he figures, all right, I'm going to end up in the good-looking section. No. By default, he ends up in the ugly section. He ends up in the ugly section with her, and so he's very upset about this because he thought that was going to be his pass to make it over into the good-looking section. Not the case. Not the case. He doesn't end up there. And instead, in the midst of the meal, who walks in but Susan with Ted Danson, who's been, of course, his arch nemesis, him and Mocha Joe the entire episode, the entire season. And so so he's upset because Susie looks terrible, and he wants her to be put in the ugly section and have the same rules as Ted Danson, because Ted Danson shouldn't cancel out Susie. They should be in the ugly section immediately. And she's like very offended by this.
And then he brings up the magical, the magical trigon.
Yeah. and so he lets her know, because she's very offended that he's out with a widow. Yeah. Very offended that he's out with a widow. Moving too fast. She says he's disgusting. He goes, well, let me tell you, she's got a magical, Yeah. And so they
Ted Danson was intrigued.
Yeah, Ted Danson, everybody's intrigued by this. They want to know what the hell this means. In the midst of this, we also have we mentioned the we forgot to mention the bathroom attendant.
Oh yeah, well he's at the restaurant.
At Tiato's. He was the bathroom attendant. I hate bathroom
Yeah,
attendants.
we all
I
hate
mean,
bathroom attendants.
you know the worst place that was that had a bathroom attendant? I swear to God. Santa's Enchanted Forest.
What? They had a bathroom attendant?
Yes, they had a bathroom attendant at Santa's Enchanted Forest, and it was like, for those who haven't been to Santa's Enchanted Forest, it's a landmark in South Florida. Holiday time, you go to Santa's Enchanted Forest. It's a good time. We had a great time at Santa's Enchanted Forest this year. However, bathrooms not the greatest. They're like in a little porta trailer, if you will, but not even like the high class ones that you see that they've cleaned up.
We had one at our holiday party one time.
They're pretty run down. And in the rundown bathroom porta trailers is a bathroom attendant. And this dude has no space. He has no real estate.
Oh, no.
No real estate for his cologne, his gum, his mints. He has nothing. And even still, feeling very cocky with himself, he's like trying to box me in to get into the system. Listen, man, I'm fine. I'm just going. I'll go no wash, no nothing. I'll move on. I'll find another place because I'm not going to be bullied into tipping in a situation. Normally, I don't carry a lot of cash. Not a typical thing for me anymore. And also, I don't even understand what this concept came up with, where you got to post up inside a bathroom with all these supplies, none of them necessary, when all I want to do is just wash my hands and get the hell out of there. So I don't know. Like it's a terrible situation. So Larry ends up going to the bathroom. He's got to do some business, which obviously means he needs to poop. And he wants the guy to leave.
Yeah, he can't do his business if this bathroom attendant is there.
He can't do his business. And so the guy's like, I can't leave my post. Larry then offers him a 20. And that finally convinces he goes, I give you 20, free week of coffee.
And then in the meantime, he's asking the bathroom attendant, like, what's your purpose in here? And he's like, well, I provide the mints and the hand washes. And he's like, nobody wants you here. Like, people would sacrifice all of that things for you not to be there.
Which is 100% true. I mean, I don't understand why you would want mints or cologne or any of this stuff. I don't. Why does anybody want to freshen up with cologne inside a bathroom? I don't understand this concept of life of why we have these types of things. Even at like a nightclub, all right, maybe you're out there, you want to freshen up. I can maybe see that scenario, but like at a restaurant, dude, no, I don't understand.
Santa's Enchanted Forest.
Santa's Enchanted. Why do I need a bathroom attendant at Santa's Enchanted Forest? He just took those paper towels off the rack. At least if you're gonna do this, can you have like the fancy towels? Then with the paper towels, it's just egregious. So he gives him a 20. Back at the store, they go to the coffee store. We find out the guy gets fired.
Yeah.
He gets fired. So Larry's upset about this. He tries to figure out from Tiato guy, why did you fire him? He goes, left his post. Had to fire him. But Larry's very upset because this guy who is this guy that you know he's from the league?
Ruxin, yeah, he's from the league, the TV show. It's about fantasy football.
I've never watched the league.
Oh wow, sure.
I've never watched the league. I hear it's awesome.
Well, they're not in existence anymore. They stopped doing the show, but
I hear good things about the league, but I've never watched it. He is adamant there's no ugly, beautiful section.
Yeah.
It's not a thing.
He's adamant about it.
Adamant about it. There's no policy. So, we'll see. But Larry has been banished to the ugly section. He wants him out of the beautiful section because he's talking to Ted Danson too long. Go back to your table, sir, Mr. David. Please go back. And so he does. He goes back to the section, and they have their date, and that is that. So they're in that situation. I think it's at this point that they're back putting the cabinets on, and that's when they learn about the bathroom attendant getting fired.
Yep. And then I think Larry, and then eventually find out he's back at the golf course, and the dad of the intern that that hired, he was offended that he wouldn't take his son's tip.
Right.
And he's like, well, he's not a doctor. Like you're the doctor.
You're the doctor. It's in his blood. He knows.
And sure enough, Larry David, while he's there, he asks him what's wrong with his rash, and the doctor gives him examines the rash. I mean, he tells him the exact same tip that his son takes him.
Right.
The
son's a natural.
Yeah.
The son knows. And so the other thing that happens at the golf course is he sees this guy. He's I guess the club pro, I guess is what that guy is.
Oh, yeah, he knows all the rules on golf.
He knows all the rules because the guy's asking him about his shaft broke. His shaft broke mid-stroke, and so it should count. And he goes, a shaft is not a club.
Under Rule 4C, he even goes out loud.
Yeah, under rule, it is not a club, and therefore it does not penalize as a stroke. He knows all the rules, and so Larry's very impressed by this. And so he asks him, he goes, let me ask you something. Because he's very suspicious about Richard Lewis's putting ability.
Yeah, that's how he lost. Cost him $500.
Cost him $500. And so he goes, does a putter have a certain amount that it must be He goes, of course. I mean, it must be 8 degrees. If it does not meet, was it 80 degrees?
I think it was 8 degrees.
80 degrees, whatever it was. It was a certain degreeage that that a putter must be for it to
Slanted.
be within regulation. And so he goes, well, what would be the penalty if somebody did not be within the specification? He goes, disqualification. And so he's trying to find Richard Lewis's bag. He's like going into the bag lodge. And
I
apparently,
forgot to mention that Richard Lewis, from the very beginning, when he pulled up, when we went to pick up the guys to take him to lunch, he's running on a Bentley.
in a Bentley.
And Larry David's like, "You're gonna get robbed.
You're gonna get robbed." So he goes into the pro shop or the pro locker room, I guess, where this. I've never been to a golf club this fancy, so I don't know. Excuse me, people, but I guess this is some bag holding area. And
he can't find his bag.
Can't find his bag. He goes, "Oh, Mr. Lewis brings home his bag. He doesn't leave it here." And so Larry finds that very suspicious.
Yeah.
That he doesn't have his bag there.
And the guy says he's the only guy that does that. He's the only guy that takes his clubs back home. It's like, oh.
So we get to the situation where I think next is he on the date with Magic, and so it's so funny because we started this episode, nobody was down here in this lodge, and now the bathroom traffic is very heavy because we only have we're back in the situation where we only have one bathroom working in this building, so now everybody's coming through. So we'll sign language that part now from the future for future reference of this episode. Either way.
Trigon.
He's back. He's back with the Magic Trigon. She's they're in her place. They're snuggling on the couch. Carl, they put down the pictures of Carl. He can't focus with Carl there, and and so he goes, listen.
Well, before that,
did they get robbed first?
Yeah, because Richard Lewis met him at Latte Larry's, and in his Bentley, of course.
In his Bentley.
And sure enough,
they get robbed.
Sure enough, some guy with a Jets mask.
He goes, "You're a Jets fan?" He goes, "Of course, they've ruined my life."
And that gets him to run away. The sympathy for the Jets that gets him to stop with the robbery.
Right.
And they called the cops too and everything. And then meanwhile, Larry David goes into the trunk and gets Richard Lewis's putter.
Right. He goes, "You got anything in the trunk?" He goes, "Just some golf clubs." And he goes, and so he goes, "Pop the trunk." He pops the trunk. And the guy goes, he's going back there. He goes, "Hold on, I'm going to be right there." Because he wants to see if the clubs are of specification. And then certainly he goes and finds it. And
straight putter.
Straight putter. And so Larry David is on to him, and he is upset because he feels like he has been cheated out of $500. So now we fast forward. We get to the Magic Trigon lady. And they're about to get down to action. He's about to venture into the Magic Trigon. It feels like feels like things are going good for old friend LD here. And he just can't let go of the fact that that Carl won $500 on his back on
false pretenses.
On false pretenses because his partner Richard Lewis was putting with an illegal putter. And so
it's about to go down. Like he's about to
be magicified. It's about
to find out.
It's about to be David Copperfield up in there. He's excited. But the problem is he needs to get his $500 back. He is not going to until the widow decides. He goes, "Listen, I want my $500. I want the estate to pay for it." She goes, "I am the estate." And so he goes,
"Carl's dead.
Carl's dead."
Well, you gotta have the estate paid.
Have the estate paid. I am the estate. And then, what did they get into an argument over? Austin Safarian Jenkins?
Austin Safarian Jenkins. It's just like Austin Safarian Jenkins' catch against the Patriots that they ruled off. It wasn't a catch. We got cheated against the Patriots.
And then she's arguing. So she's pissed.
He's like, "Oh, God, I can't believe how dare you bring up the Jets today on this house."
And this house, bring up the Jets, which killed my husband. And sure enough, she goes, "And by the way, it wasn't a catch."
He didn't go to the ground. He didn't complete the process of the catch.
So
it's very reminiscent of remember a couple seasons ago when he's about to get back with Cheryl and he finally gets it done and then he realizes that Cheryl was the one who made the coffee stain on the wood and before
Do you respect wood?
Do you respect wood? And so he wanted Cheryl to call Julia Louis-Dreyfus to explain that she was the one that stained her coffee table and instead Cheryl walks out and leaves him and divorces him.
Yep.
That was Larry David was that close to make it happen.
he just had to listen. He's
same thing with the $500.
He's about principle over sex. That's Larry David for you.
Principle over. You know the word.
Yep. And then we get to the point after this. Where do we go? Do we go back to Tiato's again?
Yeah.
He is with who is he? Is he with Jeff at this point? Who's the next Vetro Teatro?
Yeah, he's with Jeff. He is with Jeff.
So he's with Jeff, and then he ends up.
And then the kid.
Oh,
the kid.
well, no, wait. Who was he with when he is able to get the maitre d' to bow to him and admit that there's an ugly section? Because he with somebody. Doesn't he go out? Is he with Richard Lewis?
Yeah, because they keep getting sent to the under. I think it was
Right.
Richard Lewis.
I think it was with Richard Lewis, and so he ends up going to the bathroom. Larry's and David's in the bathroom, and so the maitre d' comes in there, and he's got to go. He's got to get down to business,
Yeah.
but it's an emergency. And so Larry goes, by all means. He goes, I can't do it with you here. He goes, how about this? From now on, I'm in the beautiful section, and you give the
bathroom attendant a better job.
Give him his job back. Give him a better job in the restaurant. The guy bouncy goes, terrible negotiator. He says, I was gonna leave either way, no matter what.
How you think I want to stay for this?
Yeah. So now he is in the beautiful section. He is the guy is bent to him, and then after the whole thing, they end up back with Jeff at the restaurant, and the kid comes in, and sure enough. The kid is he was dealing with the skin condition with the widow, and it turns out she needed a full body exam. And so he was able to get down with the magic. He got the David Copperfield show, so good for the kid.
Yeah, he even said it was magical.
and then in the midst, on the other side, they're finally in the beautiful section, and then somebody is having a heart attack or something is happening in the ugly section. And then all of a sudden, the maitre d' goes, is there a doctor? Somebody's getting sick in the ugly section. He finally admitted it.
And the kid goes up to there, and he's like, are you a doctor? I'm not a doctor. I'm just his son.
But I'm his son. And so he's there to help.
Son of a...
And so that was our episode for did I miss any other details, Robbie?
No, I think we pretty much nailed it.
I think we nailed it.
We took long roads around it, but we got there.
I didn't get there with the notes. I'm sorry it wasn't more succinct than other episodes. But listen. I think Mark Hockman can go to hell because I think this has been another fantastic episode. I had fun recapping. Every time we do these recaps, I feel like, I had a lot of fun recapping that episode. Yeah. I didn't feel like there was a lot of complaints. The only thing I would say is if you're not a fan, of sports, I could see why this episode.
Like you want to know Austin Spurrier.
I could understand why this episode maybe would be one where you don't find it funny. But I think if you're a sports fan, you would find this episode really funny. So I don't know, but I've loved this season. So
this is amazing.
So go to Hell Hawk.
We have 3 episodes left.